Today I thought I would talk about scales. I'm going to talk mostly about the major scale today because it truly is the foundation of everything. And when most people think about scales, they'll think about scale shapes and practicing scales and things like that, but that's not really how you should think about scales. You should really think about scales as the foundation from which everything else comes from. But first, to do that, we're going to move to the piano because the piano is much easier to see how things work. So here's the keyboard, and yes, it's a little bit of bait and switch. Show you the guitar and then come up to the keyboard. But the reason a keyboard is super helpful is that it's laid out linearly, so you can see the notes and see the underlying structure much more easily than you can on a guitar. Because a guitar has got the strings, they jump every fifths, and it just makes it much more confusing. So we're on a keyboard. We're going to do the key of C because C only uses the white keys. And the white keys are the natural notes. The black keys are the sharps and flats. But for the key of C, it's one of the keys that only uses the white notes. Starting from C, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. And then we're back to the C again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to C again. So you only have 7 notes to think about. And from those 7 notes, we're going to make 7 chords. So in every key, you have 7 notes, and you have chords that are built on those notes. Okay, so here's my decoder. We have the major, and it's a 1, major third, and a fifth. So 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. So it's going from C, skipping the D, and going to the E, skipping the F and a G. C major is C, E, and G. So I'm going to play that here. There's my 1, there's my 3, there's my 5, so it's C, E, and G. There's my C major. And that is how chords are built. You can see it so easily on a keyboard. It's much more jumbled up on a guitar. So if I grab my guitar, there is a C on a guitar. So much more complex. But a C on the piano is just 1, 3, 5. C major. So now how do we do a D? In the key of C, you can only use the white keys, and so starting from the D here, we jump 1 to get our third, and we jump another 1 to get our fifth. There's our D chord in the key of C. But it has a different tonality than this guy. And that's because if I go here, there's my D. So major would be the D. It would be an F sharp. My third should be an F sharp. And the fifth is the A. And so what I'm playing is actually this F, which is minor. So in the key of C, this is major, this is minor. So this is D minor. D major is this. Much happier, much darker. C major, C minor. And it's really because we can only use the white keys. So C major, D, this is my E, my F, my G. You can see I'm stacking thirds to get my chords. From my starting root note, I stack thirds. But I can only use the notes in that key, or in the scale, which the key comes from. And so C is 1, 3, 5, D is 1, 3, 5, but this would be major, and I can only play this, so this is D minor. What's happening with the E? Kind of has a similar tonality to that, versus if I dial it on here, you can see that I've got E is my root. Third should be G sharp, and the fifth is the B, but I can only play the white notes, so I'm actually playing the G, which is making it into a minor. So here's my E, there's my E major, here's my E minor. So we've got C major, D minor, E minor. I'm back to major again. So if I go over here, dial in my F, my third is A, which is a natural note, and 5 is a C. So both those are major, and the G is a major also. So I've got F major, G major. So I've got 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is a minor, 4 is major, 5 is major. There's my major, there's minor. So this one is A minor. So In the key of C, here's what an A major would be. I got A, it should be C sharp, but we can only play the C and the E. So 1, 3, 5, this would be major, but this is what we're actually allowed to play in the key of C. So we got an A minor there. Now we get to this one, and this is the B diminished. Let's see what we get here. So dial in a B. We've got the B. The third major should be D sharp, and the fifth should be an F sharp, but we have neither of those. So this is actually a diminished chord. It's got both the third and the fifth is a minor. Here's what I'm playing, which is B diminished, and a B major would be this. If we still played that and played this would be B minor. But because we can only play this, it's actually B diminished because both the fifth is lowered by half a step and the third is lowered by half a step. So on a piano, it's as equally simple to play B diminished as it is to play the C. Whereas on a guitar, I think it's much harder or more unusual to play a diminished chord until you start using them regularly. They just don't show up in songs so much, so you probably just don't get enough practice playing them. So we've got 7 notes. Octave there, C to C. Each chord is built from the root, and you take the thirds. So 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. What you'll see is that, let's take the C. This is C major. So from this, the root to the third is 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. So it's 4 semitones up as your third. If I go here, this is 1, 2, 3. So this is a minor third. That's a major third. 4 half steps, 3 half steps. Similarly here, 1, 2, 3. We go to F major, 1, 2, 3, 4. G major, 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor, 1, 2, 3. This would be A major, and then B diminished and C. 7 notes, 7 chords, and it always goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, back to major. So we're going to talk about the key of C on the guitar, because we were just talking about it on the piano. And it's just much harder to figure out where the notes are, because unless you go linearly, you're crossing strings. And it gets a little bit more complex to know where the notes actually are. And so it's just much harder to see music theory on a guitar some of the times. I mean, here's A. That's my third. So I know that lowering that gives me my A minor. But I'm going to go through the key of C and play all the chords. So we've got C, that's the major, we've got D minor, we've got E minor, both of those are minor. Then we got our first 4 major, G, 5 major, then we go to A minor, this is the 6 minor, and then we've got the B diminished, and we're back to C again. So same chords as what I was playing on the piano, but just much harder to see. And that's kind of true of guitar always, is that it's just a little bit harder to see where things are. This is our decoder for guitar scales. It's in the key of C, and you can see this little green pocket right here. This is my major scale right there. And that's what I was playing earlier. So I was playing from the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So there I'm playing a 1, a 5, 1, and 3. This would be D minor because there's my third, and if I lower it by that half step, and then I get my D minor. So C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A, and B diminished, and back to C again. So there we've harmonized the scale. We've just taken every single note from the scale of C and made a chord from it. And what's actually easier about the guitar is that if I were to use kind of closed shapes, it gets easier again to play out of a weird and funky scale. So if I was in the scale of A sharp, there's my 1, this is my minor shape, this is my 2, there's my 3, there's my 4, there's my 5, there's my 6. I'd have to play it up here, which you probably can't see, and then I'm back to my A sharp shape. But I was just playing shapes there. You know, I know this is my major shape, and this is my minor shape. So here's my scale, 1, 2, 3. So there's my third, and I know that this is my major chord based off of that A string, and there's the minor version of it. So I know this is my third minor. 4, 5, 6, back to that shape, and the 7, obviously don't play my diminished very often. So good thing about guitar, you can kind of go by shapes. Anyway, scales are the root of it all. Scales are the center, so everything comes from your scales. If you want more guitar theory and lessons like this, check out the playlists. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials like this.